Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Adventure Time, which we'll be getting into for the last time right now. We might have more podcasts, but
Aww.
right now.
So blunt.
I know, it's sad. I'm Dylan Heisen, and today I'm joined by Sam Quattro.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Hi.
Yes, as mentioned, we're all very sad because Adventure Time has just came to an end. The series finale aired at 6 p.m. this Monday night on Cartoon Network, and we'll be recapping everything from this historic finale, one of the biggest animation events of the decade or whatever, like, an all-time 8 years running animated show that we've been covering for a while, and we're huge fans of. So this is like a very exciting event, and also like a very melancholy time for this being the last episode of Adventure Time. Yeah, but it was a great
until they make Adventure Time Go.
Yes, Adventure Time Go coming in 5 years. Yeah,
they should. I mean, it would totally.
Oh, you're encouraging that.
Honestly, it would lend itself better than Teen Titans did, but I digress.
Yeah,
what if we make it all the Minecraft episode, but just through a whole series? Let's do that.
Minecraft episode was fine. I don't know. Could do that. But no. Yeah, so make sure you've seen this finale. Come along with me, the hour-long series finale. Spoilers for the entire finale and all of Adventure Time, so make sure you've seen it. We're getting into that right away. And check us out at overlyanimated.com. If you want to subscribe to us, we cover a bunch of other shows. Also, we have an Adventure Time specific feed. Search for Overly Animated on iTunes, or our YouTube is youtube.com/overlyanimated, where you can also subscribe to not miss any of our podcasts. Okay, so a lot to get into here, but Sam, overall, what's your reactions and your takes from Come Along With Me?
I'm just really sad. It got me right in my heart, and it's just like, okay, so I remember when Stakes ended, 3 years ago at this point, and I felt like this sense of sort of being empty, and like how life just sort of moves on after the plot. I felt that same exact sense here. Especially with like the ending montage, it's just like, this big battle happens, and like, the world itself is, threatened to come to an end, but then life just goes on after that, and it just like made me sad, and it's like, that's so #true. But anyway, I thought it was really good because of that. I think that's a really mature take to have on the world. There will always be different adventurers at different points in time, etc. And it's not that their lives don't mean anything, it's just that, the world moves on despite that. Despite, like, whatever happens. Unless, whenever the sun burns out and we all die, the world is going to move on. So, I'm into it.
Yeah, wow. Into the melancholic future that Adventure Time presented. Yeah, I think that's definitely the big theme takeaway here. Alex, what's your take on Come Along With Me?
I think it was beautiful. I think it was a great. I think the phrase you used in your review that you put out a week ago is like it's a perfect encapsulation of the show, and I think that ends up being true. Having watched it now, like. It has all the surrealism that Adventure Time has been associated with for all these years. It has a lot of emotional moments that really work because of all this time we spent with the characters. I think that they pay off a lot of these things very well. I think that in terms of humor, like they make small jokes amidst all the chaos, and that still comes across very well. So like that's another part of that Adventure Time was always able to do, stay light amidst all these heavy themes, but also transmitting these themes of life moves on, and as things are going crazy all around you, but you just kind of have to like let the world go on, do its thing. Like so, it kind of melds all these things together into one piece, and that I think at the end it's just a great. Maybe it's not the greatest episode of Adventure Time ever, because I think that maybe there are some episodes that have done better in one of these themes, such as like have done better in philosophically, have done better emotionally, have done better funnily. But I think that this finale manages to pull all the things that makes Adventure Time what it is as a show, and does put it in a package that is very representative of what Adventure Time is when it's at its best.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I did have this review earlier, but now we can get into spoiler takes on it as well. And, yeah, it's just very representative of the show overall, this finale. You have your trippy, second, 11-minute segments. You wouldn't be Adventure Time without having this, this, theoretical dream sequence. And, I think it's pretty good. You have a very important song saving the day. Just a bunch of characters and acting, how they usually are. I really just think this is incredible. I'm so high on this finale, and I think it's up there with the best episodes of the show. I mean, it's hard to compare the hour to some of these 11 minutes, but it's really accomplishes ending a show that I love in a way that I don't think I've ever gotten from a series finale before, maybe outside of Avatar and Korra. It's so perfect for what it is, and it ends the show looking forward in a way which really jives with the themes presented previously in Adventure Time. And I've always been so interested in the past, in the Adventure Time world of the nuclear apocalypse, and would we get into that, and like how did everyone turn into, like, how did we eventually get to like candy people, and eventually the show went in a different direction and it's like they were there all along or something. But like just getting how we got to this point and like where we had moved from here, those were always like very important things to me. And this finale presents it as not mattering. Which really just has a disconnect with my expectations. But I think this finale so beautifully convinced me that none of it does matter. Like this life does go on. I think it's such a incredible theme to present that even in the post-apocalyptic weird world of Adventure Time, like life goes on. It's the most powerful setting you can have that theme in. And I think that the framing device with Shermie and Beth showing these just future versions of Finn and Jake, like, no, Finn and Jake don't live forever, but there will be people like them and there will be life like them in the future. I mean, BMO, I guess, lives forever, but other than that, it's just, the world of Ooh, even that weird post-apocalyptic world does move on. It's so powerful, and I really think it comes across so incredibly well.
And I think that this is in line with what Adventure Time has been in its latter days, because also in Stakes, like, you have the ending song of Everything Stays Right Where We Left It. And like it ends up following Marceline on this personal journey, although in the end the rest of the world goes back to normal and she goes back to being a vampire. So like it's kind of the Adventure Time in these latter days has been focusing on like, well, the status quo, like that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like small things can change inside. The world may move on without you, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily a thing to be looked down upon in certain circumstances. The fact that progress happens no matter what.
Very, very Everything Stays. You could have imagined that song being here. Time Adventure, I think pretty similar.
Ooh,
mood.
Time Adventure versus Everything Stays.
Oh, I love Time Adventure in this.
I really like Time Adventure too. That's the problem.
I listened to the Rebecca Sugar performance, and so I think that spoiled me a little because BMO is not made for singing. I'm sorry. So,
wow,
it's really cute though, because it's BMO.
I guess, but yeah, like Everything Stays has the bonus of Olivia Olson singing it versus here it's BMO.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love BMO and then Bubbleen and then everyone else getting in on the song there at the end. I think the last 20 minutes of this are just perfect. That moment, I love the montage at the end. I mean, I think montages in general showing the future of your characters are good ideas, but especially it works within this theme and within this show. The structure of the show has always just been all these million characters that we check in on occasionally. So doing that like in a very compressed form at the end really, really did work. With the ending credit song of the show was fantastic, from musical of all things. I found the end of that very successful, and the cuts to the future versions of Finn and Jake, and just seeing how all these like remnants of Ooh that we see from the finale, but also just in general from the world. All of that like works so much to me. I mean, obviously we haven't even talked about it, but the incredible Bubbleen moment with Marcy and PB.
Should we get into it this early?
We'll get into it a little bit, but
it's big.
Yeah, but that's
It's really
it's a
big.
huge moment, a
Let's-
huge reason why I think the finale is incredible. But yeah, before we get into specific moments, I just want to get back to this point of this being one of the best series finales I've seen, because I think that the series finale is very hard to do. I mentioned Avatar and Korra have very like plot specific finales to where the show is at the moment, and this Adventure Time doesn't really have to wrap anything up. Like, it has this war which it kind of just sets aside, and after the first half of the finale, and it's like everything else happening, it's more like character focused. Like the dream sequence it's more about our leads and like their struggles with their evil doppelganger counterpart. So it has a plot that it needs to get through from this season, but it's so inconsequential compared to ending the show. So
pretty much.
So it can get to the better stuff, and it's like it really wraps up all the themes. I mean, I want to compare this to like the Mad Men series finale. I mean, honestly, I think it's random, but I think like these are like all time iconic TV series.
Yeah, can you extrapolate on that?
Well, the Mad Men finale. Well, I think that was a finale that isn't as satisfying to watch, wrapping up an entire show like this. Like, it goes for actually a very similar thing, very like abstract mood, like thematic extracting upon the series. It has that moment with Don Draper like meditating. Like, I think this is a better finale than the Mad Men finale. Like, and that's an all time great show. Like, I think this is like an historically great television series finale, and it really just succeeds in finishing a show in all areas up in a way that I'm not sure I've ever seen before. Like, across the board, satisfactorily wrapping up the themes and the characters and the world and the plot in a way that I think is just hugely impressive. So I don't know. I'm so in love with it, and I want to get into all the aspects of why.
Yeah, and I'll also just like add in like just the mood at the end is so like happy, and like it feels like what Adventure Time is at its core, right? Like, after all the mess stuff happens, like by the end, like they're just laying down on the ground, just talking to each other, and then there's this, like the ending song is going by. It's like it's a nice cool down that I think fits the show. Like that cool down is kind of like where Adventure Time's roots are. So to end in that way feels appropriate.
Yeah, I think that the ending montage and everything surrounding the ending is just kind of note perfect for the show, and I loved every second of it. What's our highlight to get into first here? The ending, you know. I mean, we get to the.
Let's get into Shermie and Beth.
Okay, I mean, we've talked about them a little bit already, because I think I feel
don't like
Shermie specifically.
Yeah.
So which one is the one voiced by Willow Smith?
Beth.
Beth is that one. Okay.
I like Beth a lot. I think she's great. Shermie, super annoying, terrible.
Well, Shermie is the Jake of the duo, so I think that makes sense. Well, yeah, they're just kind of reversed roles, and why is Beth a pup princess? Just because there needs to be princesses still.
Maybe she's a descendant of Jake.
Yeah,
who knows?
Beth turned blue at some point. No, but yeah, that intro scene with them. So first of all, we have the intro, and then we have like a scene of them interacting 1,000 years in the future of Ooo. And there's so much stuff that really clicks. I feel like looking back on that after you've seen it all. So I think I recommend going back and looking at that whole first 5 minutes of the show. But yeah, you see like the Banana Guard 500, 5,000 that was established, and you've like the prize ball Guardian the Guardian is still there. Princess Zip, is that a thing from earlier?
Just an alien.
I think it's just an alien, but yeah, like this is all taking place in the future of Greybull's 1000 plus. Like there's also like Marceline's old place, like that appeared back in that episode. Now here it's revealed that that's Shermie and Beth's house now.
Yeah.
So like I think that adds up.
Yeah, we transitioned to that Greybull's episode, right, with the, in my read on it at least, was the Gunter Ice King is the one that becomes that. Like, that's still Gunter, in the future.
The ice thing, yeah.
Yeah, so still a version of him. Just and then Bimo being the King of Ooo. But first they mentioned King of Ooo, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, I was like, is your wax boy coming back? And I was like, oh, good, it's just Bimo.
Yeah. Also, by the way, Beth can like teleport, Shermie. Like that happens a lot.
Which adds to evidence that maybe this is Jake's ancestor. Like, he's got weird powers here.
Yeah. Maybe she's just like
Shermie's like dumping in and out of Beth's mouth, and like while they're walking up the thing, and like they move the rock that way. All these like artifacts in Bimo's house. And they have like Finn's arm. Also, just the gag of like Bimo not remembering Finn's name is like the best
Phil!
It's so sad. Like,
Like, Bimo, come on.
thing. My best friend Fred. No, not Fred. Phil. And then they call him Phil the rest of the episode. I love that.
so like that does hammer home like this is a long, long time in the future. So I guess it
Also,
works in that regard,
Bimo
but then
doesn't care.
it's still sad.
Yeah, so this framing device of Shermie and Beth, I anticipate this being divisive among fans because we're focusing a lot of the series finale on characters who we don't care about. But obviously they're supposed to just represent adventures of the future and this thing we've talked about of life moving on. But what did you think, Sam?
Okay, so my first read upon it was like, oh, is this some sort of like backdoor pilot? Like, what's going on? Obviously, I don't think it is now. I think it's pretty much what you said, Dylan, sort of like a representative of like, time does move forward and history repeats itself and there'll still be like people in the future doing the same stuff, blah, blah, blah. Also just like a way to shoehorn Willis Smith into the series because she wanted to.
I don't think that was important, but yeah.
It was important. She likes Adventure Time,
Yes,
Dylan.
yes, noted fan, yeah.
Anyway,
Yes,
I mean, it worked for me. Like, I don't see how they could have done it otherwise, considering like all the themes that they brought up in the finale itself. So it works. I like it.
It does a great job of accomplishing the specific thing they're going for. Like, you can't have Finn and Jake in the future. You can't have like, you shouldn't have like a direct thing of like, oh, it's Finn's children or something. It's like, I feel like it's like symbols of who they are. Like, I feel like it's exactly the vehicle for this mood that we're trying to accomplish here. Alex, what did you think of them?
Well, I think that it works in part because they're similar enough to Finn and Jake. Like, we can sort of justify calling them like a reversed version of them. And Adventure Time has done this before with like Fiona and Cake, right? Like, they're just entire episodes dedicated to Cake characters that are kind of like Finn and Jake, but not really. So like at first it was a little jarring because it's like, hey, this is the series finale. What's going on? But in reflecting, like, I think it's okay. It's okay, and it's kind of cute, and especially at the end, like the actual final shot is them climbing up Finn's tree or the new tree. They lift the sword and they like imitate the Adventure Time intro. Oh yeah, right. So like that was all like a very cute ending to go on. So but like the different characters. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, and maybe it doesn't add too much to the finale, except for just continuing the Adventure Time tone of just being very whimsical no matter what.
It's very Adventure Time to introduce like two even more characters at the series finale.
Right?
But yeah, at the end, the last shot that we end the show on is Shermie raising the sword and doing the "oh yeah" from the intro, and then they find the fern tree that was planted, and it's now giant in the place where the treehouse was. I do like the intro, and that's interspersed in this finale, in this montage we get is them finding the tree, as well. Yeah, I don't know. And we cut to them with Bimo's narration. I think that all really works for me. And Bimo narrating, like, Bimo's like obviously a terrible narrator because it's Bimo, and I think that's perfect too.
I love Bimo.
Yeah. I kind of, and Bimo's just also a very unreliable narrator because he like forgets or misleads you into.
Or he wasn't there for. Honestly, I would be surprised if any of this finale happened because he wasn't there.
That's true. Yeah, Bimo
he was in the treehouse most of the time.
Bimo comes in at the end.
Wait, do we not trust Finn and Jake to have told Bimo the story as a bedtime thing or something?
I don't know. I guess Finn would. Yeah. Yeah, okay. But, maybe, that's an interesting take. Maybe none of this ever happened. That's it. Okay, let's talk, I want to get into everything in the montage, but before that, because that's going to take a while, let's do the bubbling discussion.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Alright.
Because we have this, we're all wondering, like, would we get this culminating bubbling moment that we've been waiting for a long time from these characters, and the show kind of seemed unwilling to do? This would be the time to do it in the series finale, and we do. They kiss.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kiss. This is the I mean, this is like an historic kiss, like comes across very like, casual in the episode, I think, but this is like the second, main character same-sex kiss in children's Western animation ever. The first one was just a few months ago with Steven Universe. So this is a big historic moment for queer representation in animation. And, I think that it's like a legitimate kiss. It takes like, they hold for a while. It's audible. Like, it's an incredible moment. Sam, you are number one bubbling shipper in the world, maybe. What do you think?
In the world, maybe.
What was your reaction when you saw this happening?
Oh, dude, I was to the moon. Oh, I loved it. It was great, amazing, beautiful, artistic, wonderful. Every single positive descriptor word I could use here, that what I would use to describe this kiss. Like you said, it's kind of been like a really long time coming. And, alright, so to put this into context, I remember about 4-ish years ago when, Legend of Korra did the Korra and Asami handhold. And sort of the name of the game after that happened would be who is gonna push the envelope next, who is gonna, actually kiss, like, what network is gonna let that happen, et cetera, et cetera. Obviously it was Cartoon Network with, the Ruby and Sapphire one a couple months ago, and then we get this, and it's like, whoa, mind blown, this is like opening so many doors, I'm so into it, and it's just like, I love that they played it off so casual, too. Like, it wasn't like, this like big, like, sweeping romance, etc. Cause that's not really Adventure Time style. And, for better or for worse, it's just sort of like how their whole relationship has played off. It's just been like sort of this casual in the background sort of thing. Like, are Marceline and, Bubblegum together? Were they together in the past and they broke up? And, there have been dedicated episodes throughout the series, sort of looking at that. And I don't know, dude, it was beautiful, and I'm so hype about it. Can't wait to just live my life like that all the time.
Knowing that it's happened, or in the vein of Marceline and Bubblegum?
Okay, so it's both. So knowing that it happened and knowing that, it's possible for it to happen in the future. Even though it sucks it happened, like, at the very last episode. I'm not too much of a fan of that, but that's like a time that's a time thing, and I don't know. I don't work at a network, so I'm not really sure how any of that works, but it's great, dude. I'm all about it.
Yeah. It's in general, I think it's like kind of unsatisfying with shows like just wait to have, get queer couples together until the last episode. I think the way Adventure Time has always tried to play bubbling is that it's like, they were together, at least always my interpretation. They're together a long time ago in the past, and then I think Marceline kind of talks about it in this episode, and then when they're apart, and Marceline's like, I always was like so worried that you would get hurt when we weren't together. Mm-hmm. She says that here. And then they're like slowly finding each other, again in the course of the second half of the series until, they kind of culminate, their renewed relationship here in the finale.
Isn't it so beautiful?
Yeah. I think.
No, the show has done great, especially like since Varmints, like these last 2 or 3 seasons of like slowly building up the bubbling relationship, so that like now we're finally at this point, like they've done enough work in that relationship specifically to like make this a really fulfilling experience. Yeah,
it was definitely a lot of effort to get to this, make it as fulfilling as it was. In terms of like kissing, they could have kissed like immediately. I mean, if they were together in the past, they could have just kissed right away. And I think it's probably like censorship constraints that prevented that.
Which is like eye roll, but
yeah. But we did get there, and we're at a place where Cartoon Network is kind of leading the charge on this sort of representation.
Yay!
Tons of other shows are attempting this, by the way. It's just getting cut for various reasons.
Which is dumb.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. But 2 shows now. This is a new age for this, and hopefully leads the way.
Did you ever think that we would like be here? It's so wild.
I mean, you had to think it would be eventually. I didn't think it would be so soon though. I didn't think like earlier this year that it would happen like twice this year. No. Yeah.
But yeah, younger me, like years ago, I guess first getting into Adventure Time and like thinking about it and like, oh, I wonder if like they'll ever get together. I wonder if this, that, and the other. Cause the story goes, I've told many times, I started watching because of Bubbling, because I heard what was missing was a thing, and I was like, oh, I should watch that. And this is when I was first coming out. And for me, it's like, my mind is completely blown because it's just something I would never think was gonna happen, but it did happen. And I'm so about it. It's great. I don't know. I can't use other descriptors that are not positive for this. Oh, yeah. I'm really high on it.
That's an incredible story that and that's the start, and then it really happened here. I do say, I don't think we expected a Bubbling kiss ever.
No,
this is a surprise.
No.
Yeah. After all, the stories of censorship and they tried to get in the comics and it's not in the comics. Or I don't remember that. I put those from my mind.
The comics are more forward, I would say.
Or there's this them at a panel or something and talking, and I don't know. But
Olivia Olsen kind of let it slip that they were obviously together at one point in the past, and then she had to be don't you guys know I'm just joking, haha, TV.
Yeah, 4 years ago that was a big deal, right? That whole thing. But just getting to this point where it actually happened. It's a surprise, I think, that this happened. This is the big romance of the finale. No other no other ships.
Yeah, R.I.P. Huntress was.
Yeah. All you Finn shippers with any character. Finn did not end up with
what about the Fubblegum scene at the end, though?
Yeah, kiss on the cheek. Fubblegum, is that the ship name?
Unfortunately it is. It's a terrible ship name. That's why Bubbling has survived, because Bubbling is so much better.
That's the reason. I did not interpret the Bubblegum kiss on the cheek as romantic, no.
Well, obviously not.
It was not intended to be.
That was kind of throwing a bone to their whole dynamic relationship.
Right, yeah, I think Finn and Princess Bubblegum was a huge component of the first half of the show, and so I think them having a moment
and the first part of this episode too, because Finn is very staunch against war, and Bubblegum is not listening to anybody but seems to listen to Finn. There's that quick flashback of seeing Finn as Shoko. So in the first part of this episode, they kind of work on the Finn Bubblegum relationship is important. It gets thrown aside by all the other stuff in this episode, but it's a small piece in this whole puzzle thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a nod to that being an important component of the show, and it's worked into the finale, especially in that moment. And that's kind of what we end the non-epilogue portion of the finale on. Everything after that you could say is epilogue, and that's kind of that you could say that part is too. But yeah, it's definitely an important moment, and they give it its due time. Well, I guess quickly, what do we think of Finn not having romance here? Alex, your Huntress Wizard Finn shipper, were you upset that it didn't happen?
I was more upset that Huntress Wizard or Flame Princess got nothing really to do in this entire finale. Huntress Wizard shoots down a spy, and Flame Princess, I guess, gets beat up by a monster. That's their entire thing. But in terms of Finn having romance, I think in the end it doesn't really matter. There are a lot more deeper stuff to get into with this show. I think that Finn's relationships has been a thing that this show has dealt with multiple times over the course of the entire show. And by the time we got to Huntress Wizard, I think that the show had been leaning anyway towards Finn finally realizing that he didn't need a relationship to be totally full, or to be emotionally filled with himself. So I think that it fits with what Adventure Time had been leaning towards in this final season of just Finn being happy with himself, self-satisfied, not needing a relationship to go forward.
Yeah, thank God we did not end with Finn with anyone, because it's so much more satisfying to Finn's emotional journey that he can find happiness kind of on his own. So much of the show is romantic angst with him that was not
that didn't matter.
It didn't. It's also just bad for him as a person. These crushes he went through. So this is the place to end, I think.
I'll put it on. It did matter because he's growing up. He's a teenager, etc. So not to diminish the importance of love in his life, but in the grand scheme of things, his relationships were kind of always, Finn, you messed up.
Yeah.
Which wasn't good.
And
anyway.
Learning and growing up, and I think this is the place that you want to end on Finn's. And I think the show resisted the temptation to end on a romantic note with the show's hero. I think that's incredible. The note we end on is Finn welcoming the humans back. and not some sort of, kiss with him and Flame Princess or something like, yes, glad we didn't go back there. Okay. Back to Bubbling for a second though, cause the kiss isn't the only moments that we get in the finale. That's why it's like not just incredible, but like even beyond that, cause we see them, kind of snuggling together in the montage, with a puppet show from that group that we'll talk about in a bit.
With their son, Peppermint Butler, apparently.
Yeah.
How does Peppermint, I guess we'll save that later, but like, how does Peppermint Butler not get turned back? Like, why is he the one left to suffer?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was suffering beforehand. He was down a dark path, Alex, and now he is back on that path.
He was happy on his dark path, though. Let him be.
He's their baby.
Yeah, he's their child, and they fly together, singing, as mentioned in the time adventure sequence, holding on to each other. And then even before this, like before the battle, they have a scene.
Yeah. It's like Marceline's like, "Hey, this is a bad idea, and like I don't want to flaunt my trauma, but I've been through this before."
Yeah, with that quick shot to the past, that was really.
And then Bubblegum's like, "I know, but like I don't see another way." And then she's like, "Wish me luck, okay?"
Yeah, she says that. "Wish me luck, okay?" Like the most like girly, affectionate type.
Really tender.
Yeah, tender,
and Marceline goes back like, "Good luck," and like, it's nice.
Yeah, so it's really interwoven throughout the finale, and I think it's incredible. It's so satisfying as a supporter of this relationship.
Also, like during the fights, like Bubblegum gets smashed by the monster, and Marceline like breaks out her Stake's dark cloud form out of like protecting her girlfriend. So like that was pretty out there.
Yeah, that's what leads to the kiss scene is PB just seemingly dying, but she's some sort of science mechanic backup, so she's fine. Then Marcy goes berserk and just takes one of them down like on her own.
Wow. Like that's really gay.
That's the only success they ever have is that side of things is when Marceline's feelings for Bubblegum cause her to just go crazy like that. Yeah. And then the kiss scene. Any specifics of the kiss scene, Sam, we didn't talk about?
You brought up the noise part, and that was like, it's such a small detail.
To me, that's like the most, one of the most powerful things about it, because we're not just trying to brush past it. We're like making it prominent. It's like the audio, you hear them kissing. Wow. That's like really important, I think.
And also, like, they have a nice embrace thing going on where, like, it kind of pulls a little closer during the kiss. Like, I like that little detail, too.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
We'll get back to it.
There's a bit of, like, distance to, like, a lot of that conversation was on their faces, but then when the kiss happens, the camera kind of pans, it goes, like, behind them a bit far away. I don't know if that's something to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting artistic choice. We frame on them from behind, and it's yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a close-up is good to make it as prominent as possible, but I found this to be like, I thought this really worked.
It's just two people who love each other, and they're happy that they're both alive.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm like, this is like my last like vestige of like, me being super duper invested in a ship. And I'm living it right now.
When Galb is going up into the sky, I think they're holding each other, or some Galb seem like they just cut to them and they're holding each other. Yeah,
they're holding each other. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. We'll get back to it throughout, but let's talk, let's move to this montage that we get through at the end here with the Come Along With Me end credits scene playing. We cut to a lot of different things, important and not important.
Oh yeah, Dylan actually had to ask us who a couple people were.
Yeah, well, who, I'm gonna poll the audience here. Who remembered, who, the Jiggler was? I did not remember that. Who remembered who, the Crabbit is?
Maz was familiar.
Yeah, those are the two that I didn't remember. I also blanked on Tiffany's name, but I remembered eventually. Yeah.
I'm confused how Jiggler got to be a business person. Like, Jiggler can't talk, so like, how is he going?
And he just jiggles.
Does he jiggle for money?
Oof. Yep.
Okay, let's go through all the end credits, or the end song sequences that we see, and we'll go fast or we'll slow down if needed. But first we start with Jake being blue and Lady Rainicorn.
That disturbed me. I didn't know what was going on.
They're just
the
happy
background
together.
The background is really like, I don't know. Never mind.
Also, the musical describes the song as a really specific feeling that's hard to describe.
What does that mean? The song isn't about that.
It's kind of not about that, but it evokes that, right? Like, does it that's what the musical is saying. It evokes that feeling.
Also, I was looking it up. Apparently, the musical voice actress is actually the singer of the song.
Yeah.
So anyway,
we should have seen this coming. Yeah,
I did.
So we get a big plot moment. LSP is the queen of lumpy space at the end, crowns the queen.
Do all princesses become queens at some point?
I think that's the idea.
I mean, yeah, I know that's how it works in like our world, but like, I don't know
lumpy
about
space. Who knows? Will LSP be a good leader?
Yeah, well, why is it Princess Bubblegum? Why is she not Queen Bubblegum?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, in the Adventure Time world, all the princesses are
I don't know.
leaders.
Maybe her and Marceline will get married, and then she'll be Queen Bubblegum.
Or maybe she's still Lumpy Space Princess, but she's just being promoted, but still keeps her title.
Yeah, I think she's still
princess.
LSP. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because her parents are still alive, so like,
Right.
Yeah. Okay. This important moment, we get, previously Gunter wished to become the Ice King, and,
But
Gunter-
by the way, that Orgalorg lampshading, though.
yeah.
like, hey, he's a cosmic being, don't do that. Oh, no, never mind, it's fine.
is he still Orgalorg? I don't remember.
I guess so.
Yeah, because he got the reason he's stuck in the Gunter form is because he's under the atmospheric pressure of the planets. That's why when Orgalorg is in space, he can be free, but he gets pushed down to Earth and he gets pushed back into being a penguin.
So it's still Orgalorg all along. Really, just wants to be Ice King in the end. Is what
Don't
we're
we
saying.
all really?
No.
Or somehow
yeah, exactly.
Gunter's mind power was more powerful than Orgalorg's.
Yeah, I will say this is
power.
the perfect conclusion to the Gunter character is turning into Ice King, being like, I love Gunter so much. Yeah, it's great. Trips and accidentally proposes to Turtle Princess.
That's so stupid.
This was too stupid for you.
Yes.
Well, Ice King went through such elaborate plans to get princesses to marry him,
and then Gunter just like marries somebody off the bat. Like, come on.
right.
Is that what we're going for? Yeah, it's just Gunter lucking into marrying a princess where Ice King tried the whole series.
Maybe Gunter's more charming than Simon. Who
Oh,
knows?
definitely. Yeah. Definitely more charming. What do you think of this being Turtle Princess? What's the rationale here?
I don't really care.
Alex,
Turtle Princess talks like this. So
what are your
I
Turtle
guess
Princess
it's
thoughts?
fine.
Yeah. Why is Turtle Princess so prominent here at the end?
She's not. She's in the montage. That doesn't count as being prominent.
At the last 5 minutes of the show.
She's on
multiple
par
times.
with the Jiggler.
No, she's in 2 scenes. That's good.
Yeah, she does show up a couple
And
times.
then they get married. Yeah. And that's a big event. And then it comes back later. Okay. So we have Rattle Balls. And then the various guards, and they're watching TV. I like Rattle Balls being
Okay, I have a thing to point out. So I don't remember banana guards having boobs. One of them had them in this. Can somebody please message me in comments or something and be like, Sam, you're dumb. This is the episode where this banana guard had boobs. Why can't you remember?
This is very important.
Yeah, because I do feel like there have been female banana guards in the past, but I can't bring an episode to mind.
I'm a fake fan, TM.
Yeah, you don't know.
Okay. It's in We Fits the Truck. Remember that one with Banana Man? He's trying to get a girlfriend, and yeah.
So yeah, okay, all right. Banana Man.
I didn't follow that, but okay. I'm glad we arrived at a conclusion here.
Banana Man was in this montage.
I also don't remember Banana Man. Well, the water nymphs. I barely remember them, but they're there. What's the purpose of putting them here?
They were cute. I don't know.
Sure. Jake's kids are rebooting the Joshua and Margaret investigations
and then
business.
TV takes over.
Yeah, I thought this was sweet.
I guess.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I think we needed to do something with that. That'd been the Joshua and Margaret investigations. That'd been pretty prominent recently in the show, so I think.
I don't think I ever really cared about Jake's kids that much.
They'd been a heavier focus than you would think recently. So
yeah, I was like,
yeah. Anyway, Sweet Pea graduates.
Oh,
This was sweet.
Elementary school? I don't know.
Yeah.
Or kindergarten. Like these days, they do like graduation ceremonies for each grade.
I don't think the OO has various levels of school though. So I don't know.
I had a kindergarten graduation. I remember that.
Right. So like that's a thing. And also, like, how do we know anything about schooling in OO? Nobody goes to school in
There was
OO.
one episode with Sweet Pea going to school. So.
Yes, there was that episode. But like outside of this, like, do we really know anything about the school system in OO?
No, so we can't comment. Okay. PB and Lolly are with Nettie. And they're singing to Nettie, I think, right?
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, they're doing his Calm Down song. That was sweet.
I thought this was a sweet one, yeah. And I like that Bubblegum and Lolly have a relationship now, post the events of this finale.
Yep.
I think that's good. And yeah, I'm glad we put Nettie here. That should have been here. That's a very prominent episode looking back, I think. We had Simon, and this might have been my favorite one of the many. Oh, this is my second favorite one of the many sequences. Simon, renewed as himself, Simon visits Prismo and Cosmic Owl.
Okay, so you say this is one you like, but I'm worried that this is, like, what if it's just Simon, like, still pining over Betty? Like, is he just, like, what if it's just him asking Prismo, like, hey, like, how do I get Betty back? Like, what if that's his entire character now that he's normal Simon? I'd feel bad.
Well, okay, so I think it could be, that's probably what he's doing, could be what he's doing, but it's not his entire character because he's also hanging out at Marcy's house at the end. So I think that he has other things going on, but his hobby is trying to get Betty back by going to Prismo and Cosmic Owl and figuring out what's going on there.
Also, I thought that was him just trying to find a place to live.
That's what, he could just be like investigating maybe he's just like investigating the universe too, because he's like a really smart person and
I'm Simon Petrikov. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he's just gonna go do science stuff throughout the universe now.
I wonder when he's gonna die.
What?
He's human.
Oh, don't say that. We just got him back.
Well, Finn is gonna die. Jake is gonna die.
Yeah, we're all gonna die someday.
All your friends are going to die.
Yeah, they all did die except for BMO by the 1,000 years in the future.
No, Sweet Pea was also alive. He was very tall. He had like the demon blood sword.
Oh, that was Sweet Pea?
Yeah, it was.
I didn't catch that at all. Oh.
Yeah, and he had no, I think it was like the Knight of Fair sword from Hudson.
I saw the giant sword. Yeah, but I didn't know that was Sweet Pea.
Yeah, that was Sweet Pea.
Okay, I'll have to look for that. Going back, there's a lot of stuff in here that we're talking about in the intros, first 5 minutes, right? Or was it in the?
And then it was in the intro and at the end.
Intro and at the end. Okay.
After they left BMO's house.
Yeah, they're like climbing the mountain, and there's a giant walking by, right?
Yeah, it's Sweet Pea.
Okay, so that's the fate of the Lich, I guess.
Yep, to be Sweet Pea.
To be Sweet Pea forever.
The Orgalorg doesn't matter here. The Lich doesn't matter here.
Instead, we get random villain at the end. Yeah,
not totally random.
Not random, but
it's kind of random. Well, I mean, people thought it was coming. It just hadn't. Yeah. Anyway, Jermaine is painting for Lemongrab. His ceiling. Sure. Was there a precursor to this that I missed, or was it just a thing?
No.
Okay.
I think was the Mountain of Matthew. Like he's focused on the mural above his bed. So like that's the only connection that I made. We have seen Lemongrab's bedroom before.
Okay, that's I don't know if that. Okay, but we see BMO with Mo sending Mo into space with Banana Man. Explain this to me, Alex.
Okay, so in the Mo episodes, there was a brief flashback of Mo, and he had plans in the background of him sending rockets into space. So I think that there's a connection there where, I guess maybe Mo always wanted to go to space, and BMO is fulfilling his final request or something.
But then they just use like a paper towel thing rocket, though.
Yeah, maybe it didn't actually go into space, but it's the thought that counts, Sam.
I'm glad we put, even though I didn't understand the context, I'm glad we had Mo here in the last sequence, because I felt like Mo was that episode and was one of the more prominent ones of the later era.
Well, also, I remember hearing some people say that they saw, like, on some of the Mars episodes, they saw things that looked like stuff that Mo would have designed. So I always wondered if we were ever going to, like, connect those two. It doesn't seem like we do here, except for just limiting it to the space, to the rocket thing. But Mo's nice.
Most nice. Okay. Then Shermie and Beth find the fern tree, so we cut to that in the middle of this. We have Flame Princess and Neptr rapping.
Yeah.
Sigh.
This is our ultimate fate of Flame Princess as rapping. That was her most important thing.
Flame Princess is about to be a member of Brockhampton. Message in the comments below what you think.
Okay.
We're just replaying the final Flame Princess episode again here. Nothing new. So, yeah.
It was nice for Flame Princess. We see Tiffany.
As long as she's happy, I guess.
Yeah. What do we think about Tiffany being in the ending?
Who cares?
Tiffany's half robot here? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, apparently that happened before in the show, but you guys should know about that.
Okay, well, I'm sorry I'm such a fake fan.
I just looked Tiffany up on the wiki, and there's a picture of Tiffany with the robot already, arm or something.
I don't really care about Tiffany.
Happened.
I guess in the reboot thing, maybe the Dr. Gross.
Yeah. Okay, I think that might be right. Anyway,
no Dr. Gross in this episode.
That's sad. The Jiggler, as mentioned, no memory. But
yeah, that's
there.
you.
The Crabbit. Why?
Doing interpretive dance. That's what he wanted to do. Dude, if you rewatch Skywitch, he's like, I want to dance. I'm leaving you. And Maja's like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
So he's living out his dream. Let him live. Also, Donnie was there, and like a bunch of other people were there. It was weird.
Okay. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a character from the first 5 episodes that I don't remember. No, it's from Skywitch? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, from Skywitch.
Yeah. Well, Skywitch is a very prominent episode, so I guess that we're paying off that very...
And the Jiggler is a prominent episode, let me tell you.
No, it's not. But okay.
The Jiggler is one from actually like the first 5 episodes.
Yeah, that like, I'm like, okay, the characters I don't know, they're from the beginning of the show, right? But I guess not with the familiar. Susan and Frida, I'm very happy that we had Susan and Frida in the montage. They pick up Lemon Hope is that their child now?
Yes. So I was really worried that all the Lemon Hope stuff wasn't going to be canon because if you remember, at the end of the Lemon Hope episode, he basically just like walks through this decrepit ooh and then goes back to the Lemon Castle and like dies, I guess. And it's just like this whole thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was worried that they forgot about it. And now he's here just in the middle of that montage journey at the end of his episode. So good for Lemon Hope.
He's adopted by the second OTP of Susan and Frida.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad Susan and Frida are together here. That's all I want.
Are they actually adopting Lemon Hope, or are they just like hired to be his chauffeurs, or what's going on?
Yeah, it seemed like they're like bus drivers picking him up for school. That's the impression I got. But I'm not clear.
Underground bus drivers.
Kind of unclear. Okay, next one we have Root Beer Guy, Starchy, Crunchy, and what, Punchball? Is that his name? He's Gumball, right?
Yeah.
Having drinks. Yeah.
Okay.
Was he Root Beer Guy or is he Dirt Beer Guy? Like
I think it's Dirt Beer Guy now.
Last time I remembered he was Dirt Beer Guy.
I forgot about that. Okay. This is the Root Beer Guy send-off we always wanted, right? Was him chilling.
I mean, he spent a lot of time in that bar.
I guess that fits. We have Tree Trunks holding up a pie in the middle of a maze. Sam, you had an interpretation for this.
No, I didn't. Alex did.
Oh, Alex didn't.
Well, look, these are crop circles because in that weird-ass episode about the Princess Bubblegum hunting down Tree Trunks, and it ends up being that Tree Trunks is having alien orgies. So this is obviously her attempt to get back on that action.
So was the maze crop? Yeah, is that associated with aliens before in the show, or is it just a pop culture association?
It's I guess a pop culture thing.
Yeah, I think it's just pop culture.
Yeah, okay.
But also before that episode, aliens weren't really a thing.
Now
there was Mars, but that's about it. Like there is just outright aliens.
Yeah.
Well, then now we have that alien princess too. So.
Yeah. I assume that was one of the aliens of Tree Trunks as aliens, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Whoa! What if that princess from the first 5 minutes is actually the great great granddaughter of Tree Trunks and Alien Man?
I don't like that.
I like that. Yeah. Tree Trunks was just giving her alien boo a pie. That's what that was.
Oh, Alex, you just got like a really bad TV art comic in my head. That
ooh la la.
Not an actual one, but like one that could.
Not like a concept. Yes, I want this episode to inspire myriads of DeviantArt comments.
No. Okay, we have Normal Man looking back, on his past self?
And his wife who is dead.
And he's running, it seemed like he's running a business.
He's the king of Mars now, isn't he?
Is he in Mars? Was he?
Yeah.
I guess that's where he was. Okay. We had to read him there. Now we've arrived at my favorite shot of the, of the montage. Sam, how would you describe, so we have PB, Marcy, Slime Princess, LSP, and Flame Princess. How would you describe how they look in this shot?
They look totally radical. Like, oh my god. Like, they're like kind of like, walking on like one of those like really radical cups that they would have in the 80s.
Yeah, like an 80s like pop group or something.
Yeah, it's just so like tubular. Like gag me with a spoon.
This is my favorite thing that they're hanging out and they look like that.
It's just
fantastic.
Like that one episode where Marceline and LSP kind of like, I guess they kill Breakfast Princess or whatever. I don't actually remember what happens, but like,
they like steal her car.
Yeah. I don't remember what happened. I was like watching a clip from that the other day and I don't remember.
In my head, these five are the idol group of OO. They're like the Backstreet Boys of OO now. That's their feature.
I guess.
Are there shopping malls in OO?
Yeah, look like they're in a mall, right? Like
it's the classic 80s mall picture. So like, I just wonder, like, what are they shopping for?
Trouble.
Trouble. Ooh, yeah, trouble. Okay. That's fantastic. I want all the fanfics written about that, please. That specific shot. This montage is a weird combination of like things that we're presenting happening in the future that naturally result from the stuff we saw before. Endings, tributes to characters that are prominent, and then also these just random shots that are fun, like this one. Like they're all kind of next to each other. And
but it all together kind of says like, hey, like life moves on. We're just gonna live our lives, do things, you know.
It's kind of like the ending of Daria, but that nobody else. Basically, Daria ended like similarly on like this what if sort of montage. Anyway, keep going.
There's no what if here. This all happened. It's all canon, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Alex, Huntress Wizard. She's meditating.
Yeah. That's her deal. She also doesn't need a man to be happy. Like Finn is fine alone. Huntress Wizard is fine alone. If they're both happy, then that's good enough.
Alex, it's up to you to write the fan fiction where they find each other again as older people, and then they get together.
Yeah, they're the new bubbling, right?
Don't compare it to that. But like, if I was creative enough, I might do that one day. But no, they're happy on their own. They don't need each other. They'll find satisfaction in their lives in other ways.
Alex, are Huntress Wizard stans going to be upset by this finale?
They might be, only because then you have to do the question, well then why was she prominent? Well, I guess not even prominent, but like why was she even in this final season? Why did the show feel the need to remind us that she existed?
Are there any other Huntress Wizard stans besides Alex?
It's a popular character to stan, yeah.
I think it's a minority, but like they're out there, and like Huntress Wizard is a cool design, and she's like their Finn and Huntress Wizard's chemistry was there, but also I think the show does a good job of stressing that like they're both at a place in their lives where they don't really need each other, and like there's kind of a brief thing, but like like well why have it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, of note is that, I think Adam Muda has been talking about this on the press circuit for this finale, but, this wasn't like a planned natural conclusion to the show. Cartoon Network kind of canceled the show. Like, it was like, they gave them time to wrap it up, but it wasn't like, okay, we know this is the last season, we know this is the last two seasons. Like, they kind of like knew halfway through the season, so I don't think they had time to plan it completely. So maybe Huntress Wizard was a consequence of that.
Aw, R.I.P. Huntress Wizard.
Maybe they had further plans for Huntress Wizard that never came to be. So sad. Flame Princess also not get a lot. I guess I'm a Flame Princess stan. I wasn't upset though. I wasn't that upset though. We're fine with her. She had a lot to do. She didn't need to.
She didn't have a lot to do in this final season. She had the one episode where she reconciles with her dad, but like in the middle of like a rap centered episode, and like this finale, she has like one line I think about, well, like you got that, sister, or something like that, and that's it.
There's more important things to do here, even though I love her. And she gets the cover of the final DVD, so I'll take that. For some reason, she's the cover of the list.
There you go.
So that's fine. We'll take that. So we get this scene of Simon, Turtle Princess, New Gunter's Ice King, Bubbling and Pet Butt, are hanging out at Marcy's house, and they put on a puppet show for Bubbling, and they're like making popcorn.
So are these holographic puppets? Is that what's going on? Because they're like glowing.
I think so. I don't know.
Also, no, Marceline's poodle Schwabble is there also.
Okay.
Nobody cares about him, but I do.
Not notice that.
Ghost poodle?
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Also, I have a theory. So Turtle Princess married Ice King, right? But I feel like she's like going behind his back to like get with Simon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't know. Simon loves Betty only.
Well, Betty is
Glob now. So
yeah, Betty is that guy. So
yeah,
Golb,
not Glob. Yeah. We'll talk about that. Okay. Then
we were an hour.
Look, it's a lot to talk about. And then last, Finn and Jake welcome back the humans from Islands.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah, I think that's a good ending for that arc and Finn. And because a lot of Finn's arc is like him being the last human, and
no, he's not.
Also, isn't this finale song technically called the Island Song?
I think it is, yeah.
So, like, it's perfect that it ends with them coming back from the islands.
Wow. Okay. Any other comments on this montage?
It was pretty.
It was pretty. Okay,
yeah, it was nice.
Okay, the two big things that I was hotly anticipating being wrapped up by this finale were Bubbling and Simon and Betty and Marcy. Was the big, like, to me, I think there's people that feel the same way, but this may be just a me specific thing. I think the Simon and Marcy and also the Betty stuff later has been the best thing in Adventure Time for the entirety of its run. I think it's been the best episodes. I think it's the strongest plot, the most emotional plot. And like, this is the thing I needed to see addressed because we'd all been building to something with it. And, so we get Simon back. It happens. The whole finale's kind of, based around, this Betty's attempt to get Simon back. And then we do get Simon back. I was really happy that this was so prominent and was addressed in such a major way.
Sad.
Yeah. Alex, were you surprised we got Simon back here? How do you think it was handled?
I don't think I was surprised. Like, I feel like, I feel like anything could have gone. Like, I would have been okay if, like, the Ice King stayed the same. We continue with the theme of, well, we've accepted him how he is. But I also am fine with Simon being back. I think that Betty still feels like a character to me that I don't think got enough development on her own, like down to the very end. Like, obviously her first wish is to get rid of Gold, and that doesn't work, so her final wish is, well, just keep Simon safe, pretty much, right? So like, that's her entire reason for existing when she's sane, and even when she's not sane, like, she's still being pushed forward in part by that. So like, Betty as a character, I don't I'm just like, whatever. I think this Adventure Time has done better characters than her, but like, Simon is, it's fine. And also, like, it ends up just feeling tragic because Simon in his sane state is when he realizes that he misses Betty, but he can only be sane if Betty sacrifices herself. So yeah, like, Simon is the Simon Betty thing, I think, had high moments. This to me feels like an appropriate conclusion, but not one that feels fully satisfying to me personally.
Yeah, I think Betty was always kind of a character that was a vehicle for Simon, for better or worse, probably worse, but she still had some great episodes and there's still an engaging plot. I guess if I had a complaint here, it would be that Marcy and Simon wasn't super prominent. Like, they had like a reunion thing and then they're back in each other's lives at the end. But to me, that was like such a hugely emotionally impactful plot in the run of this show, their relationship in the past. So, I could have used maybe, 10 to 30 more seconds of the two of them.
Wow.
But what we got was still really good.
10 to 30 more seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not asking for a lot.
What broke his crown is kind of like the final Simon Marcy episode now that this finale has happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still I would classify this finale as a Simon and Marcy episode. We still get some moments. And yeah, Simon's there at the get together at Marcy's house, so they're still in each other's lives. I don't know. Would Marcy go with Simon exploring the universe to
maybe
scientific endeavors? Would Bubblegum come along?
Maybe.
No, she has to explore. She has to run the kingdom, right?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll figure.
She'd always just put Crunchy in charge again.
That's a good idea. Sam, what was how'd you like how Simon was handled in the finale?
Okay, so here's my issue. It's more or less with Betty's thing. I don't want to be that guy. But, to me, it just seems like Betty's entire character, and at the end of the day, it was just, like, her sacrificing herself for her boyfriend. And, feministically, that isn't good.
Feministically,
that's not a word, but it's... in a feminist reading, it's not good that, the woman has to, like, sacrifice herself for, like, her boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. But, not really thinking about that, I did think it was very touching. I would probably do the same if it was somebody I loved. The world isn't completely perfect in terms of, like, feminist ideals, etc. And, feelings, all that good stuff. In terms of Simon, to be honest, I kind of wish the whole Gunther doing the Ice King thing wasn't a thing, because now, like, we have the best of both worlds. We have Ice King's wackiness, but then we also have Simon's back. And in terms of Simon and Marcy stuff, I guess you could consider this like a Simon and Marcy episode. Not really. I mean, they only
they do that one hug, that's it.
Yeah, they hug, and it's just like, cool, great, wonderful. Like,
it was a good moment. Okay,
I don't know. Like, we could extrapolate on this further via the comics or like a graphic novel situation, like what Korra is doing now. It's open ended, I would say.
Yeah. Back to the Betty point, I mean, I completely agree. It comes across as a sexist plotline looking back, right? Like, cause her character just revolves around Simon. I mean, that's just kind of inherently what it is.
It sucks, but, I mean, I don't know. It's just, you'd have to go back to their, like, series Bible to fix that.
I think Betty's not a OG character, right?
I don't think so. I think she came about when,
well, like Holly Jolly Secrets is the first introduction of Simon backstory.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the Simon Marcy relationship could have been maybe OG stuff, but like Betty comes as a result of what they did there. And then it like transitions to being about Betty. That's my memory of that. But yeah, I mean, by placing the finale's ultimate plot revolving around Betty and doing something for Simon, yeah, I mean that comes across badly, I think. But they try to sell it as like their love, and they kiss when they're inside Golb's stomach. Were you guys touched by that?
No.
I like the kiss.
Yeah.
And you phrase that really bad.
That's what happened. They're being digested.
They are being digested, but like...
Does it count as being digested if there's no liquids involved?
Yes. It's just cosmically digested.
Here is Sam's issue with that. TM. Again, I don't want to be that guy, but somebody has to. So, to compare it to the bubbling kiss that we got, straight people, straight romance, more favored in terms of angles, camera, weightiness, etc. Not a fan of that versus the bubbling kiss, though the bubbling kiss itself was good for the moment it was in, and of course it made me very happy. But, we're not, barred, Ruby and Sapphire, I guess, we're not at a point where, like, a same gender kiss is gonna be like, that shot on, like, oh, this is, the most important thing, this is, like, love overcoming, or not overcoming, or, the last, like, breath of love in this dire situation. Like, we're not at a point yet where that's gonna be a thing. regularly.
By the way, you should be that guy. So don't say you shouldn't be that. You should be.
I feel like people get annoyed that I am.
Well, they can be annoyed then. Whatever.
I can't help what I notice.
I agree that it's more prominently placed, right? Like I think that's noticeable that the Simon and Betty kiss gets like the last 5 minute, 10 minute, I don't know, but
and also just like this gets close up, and the bubbling kiss is the one that gets the distance shots. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like, at least to me, the bubbling kiss was more cinematically framed than the Simon and Betty kiss. Like I feel like it's more emotionally impactful. It's given more room to breathe. So I don't know, maybe it's just like, what the situation called for, what your taste in what these things are, but, it definitely wasn't like as essential to the plot like that was for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kissing,
definitely worth noting. Yeah. Before we get into Golb, I want to talk about my most favorite moments of the finale that we have not yet discussed, which is very important. And that is, the other OTP that happens this finale, Lumpy Space Princess and Lemongrab.
Yeah.
Okay. Hot take. Is Lemongrab the best character in this finale?
Lemongrab is so good between
the
getting so mad at the dude's plan in the hot air balloon, my plan. Yeah, it's
and like Gumball destroys the lemon, and Lemongrab takes out a paper, writes a note that just says "Unmake me." Like
unmake
that
me L.
Great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Like great, yeah.
And then I think this was other than the bubbling kiss, this was my second biggest reaction of the finale was this LSP Lemongrab. I never knew I needed this because, LSP says, "Oh, tender lad, I give you the parting gift of my lips." And then Lemongrab says, "I find your proposal, acceptable." It's the best, take on the unacceptable line. He finds the kiss, acceptable, and then they kiss, and then LSP's face gets sucked in, cause he's a lemon? That's what we're going to
Because he's sour, yeah.
And then, whoa. And then, oh, you're welcome, says LSP.
God. Do you think that they're together?
Yes.
Oh, for sure. Like, I think in a previous episode they were having a picnic together. It's like, this has been established. This is their relationship.
Oh my god.
They're canon. This is screw Finn and anyone. This is the real, this is the real shit. This is my favorite, the two ridiculous characters.
They're the most abrasive characters, so they deserve each other.
Maybe my two favorite side characters. I'm putting them together like this. It's everything I ever wanted. Like, I didn't know. I didn't think of it though. I didn't think that this could be a thing. It's the best. This is like maybe the most successful, like, random finale thing they do, I feel like. Let's go stupid combinations of all of our crazy characters and do it in climactic. Like, I feel like this is like perfect. And it's also like parodying, end of story, like, romance arcs and stuff too.
Yeah, you said that the bubble within was more cinematically framed, but this kiss had like a whole pink tint going on.
Yeah,
well, it was a parody, but yeah, it was.
This was cinematic.
Yeah, well, it was over the top on purpose. Yes, it was great. Okay, Golb. So Alex, why don't you give us the build up of Golb from the series previously to now? This is the first time we see Golb.
No, in Puhoi, which is that episode where Finn marries the pillow person. Do you remember that episode?
I actually do remember that.
Yeah, but like when he's leaving, he goes past this character Golb, but like he wasn't named at the time. It was just some weird character that they happened to show. But then later on in the Magic Man episodes, we get the mention of Golb being partly responsible for getting rid of Magic Man's wife, Margles. So, but like he's always been brought up as vague. So when they do this exposition with Simon's flashback of like, hey, Golb is power of chaos and stuff, like that's new information in show. But although it had been stuff that had been theorized before, but yeah, we don't have much on Golb before this aside from the Magic Man episodes.
So, yeah, Sam, given that, what do you think of the concept of introducing this giant force of chaos that we haven't really gotten into before in the last episode?
So I didn't realize Golb was a thing before until, like, I looked it up after the fact. So I was like, huh. Watching it, I was like, well, I'm not sure how I really feel about this, like, rando, like, what would it be? Like, would you call the Gum Wars like, you know, like a red herring or something?
Yeah,
so like, you know,
I think
this,
so. Yeah.
I don't remember my opinions from like March or something, but I feel like I thought, you know, the Gum Wars either weren't going to be a thing or they were going to be like the main thing. Anywho, I'm not too much of a fan of just like, you know, random guy showing up the last 20 minutes, be like, hey, I'm this big fat baby, and like, I look really disturbing, etc. But it's Adventure Time, so I don't know what I expected.
Alex, what do you think?
Well, I think that this is Adventure Time's thing, right? Like, Orgulorg shows up at the end of that season randomly. The Lich, in his first appearance, kind of showed up out of nowhere, too. So, like, this is just how Adventure Time rolls. Like, they throw like, giant villains out, seemingly out of nowhere. Although, at least I think with the Gold, they drop little hints and pieces, so at least if you're really hardcore into the show, like, to the point where you can remember people like the Familiar at the end of the episode.
No, obviously
like,
not
might
me.
have been. Yeah, okay, well, not everyone. But, like, if you had been picking up on the hints, like, seeing Gulb finally be, like, a huge piece of an episode was kind of a revelation. But also, like, his usage in this episode is kind of genius because they portray him as the representation of chaos and as discord, and then somehow like a song ends up defeating him because melody is the opposite of discord. Like that's so beautiful. Like it feels so Adventure Timey.
That's such an Adventure Time thing.
Yeah, so like the way he's defeated it is so beautiful, but also like his grotesqueness just goes to the surrealism part of Adventure Time that also is like it's iconic for those monsters that he vomits out like with the giant eyes and stuff. Like people in Steven Universe talk about the corrupted gems in that series being disturbing. Like this is that times like 5 or times 10, like in terms of just strangeness. And also when he at the end when he's being sucked back up, the animation style changes to be like black and white pencil drawings and stuff.
I like that.
I really like that as well, and it goes back to Adventure Time. Like when it decides to experiment with the animation, it does that a lot, and it does it in very different ways. And I think that there was used very interestingly as well. So all in all, I love Gall being in this finale. Obviously, he doesn't have much of a personality because it's just like a mindless representation of nothingness. But like, I think that his usage in this finale just contributes to this being a very Adventure Timey way to end the show.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for a satisfying series-long arc of a villain, then it would have been the Lich would be the way to go here. But
you have to let go of the Lich.
But well, I think something like, but that's the point, right? Like nothing. It's not important. Is the end of season villain or who they're fighting? Like it's never really been important. Like Lich would have been the most, but even that is kind of like pushing it. So it being Gulb here, I guess it's most satisfying because they say oh my glob or like yeah, like that's and that's the transition into the flashback of Simon and Betty and the Sundays, which I loved, by the way. But really he's just like the symbol of chaos and he spews out these monsters. They don't even really fight Glob. They fight these monsters, which also weren't even that important. They were just, like Alex said, surrealist. And, so I think it was like, successful in like what the important things of what we're trying to accomplish were. And like we said, this black and white moment when Betty rewrites Gall like as herself, like it's crazy, like one of the most striking animation moments I think in recent memory. Everything going black and white and crazy, and it was super striking. Definitely one of the highlights of the finale. By the way, random thing we haven't talked about yet. Fern in this arc, he kind of dies. We plant him and he regrows as the tree.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Burns.
Shut up.
What's your Fern eulogy, Alex?
Good riddance. No. No, I mean, I think that this ending is good for Fern because we finally addressed like what makes him Fern. But then I just wonder, like, couldn't we have just skipped the whole Knights part? Like that didn't add anything to, like, we could have gone straight from Fern being destroyed at Whispers, and we could have skipped straight to this, and I don't feel like we would have missed much of a thing because Fern either way would have reason to be angry with him without dealing with the whole night stuff. So Fern, I think, still, despite this being, I think, an okay part of the finale, they do a lot of interesting symbolism stuff in the Finn Fern fights, like Finn turning into a butterfly, since that's been a motif throughout the show. Like, that's interesting. But Fern just feels like a plot point that went on for way too long in this show.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to compare it to what the Fern arc this season was, sure, I think for this finale, I felt like this was a satisfying end to Fern, and I think that's more of, I think, the important thing here. What do you think, Sam?
Okay, so I definitely agree that Fern went on for way too long. I kind of wish he just died in 3 buckets and just stayed dead forever. Not to say I don't like him. Like, I thought it was really poetic that, he became the new tree, et cetera, et cetera. It was just beating a dead horse, though, at that point. And, the whole, dreamy 11 minutes that we had here, I think Finn accidentally killed Fern again, technically. Cause, he removed, the octopus thing, and, Fern is I'm disintegrating by... I don't know. I'm not a big Fern fan. He served his purpose up till 3 buckets. After that, it was okay.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I agree Fern wasn't spectacular this last season, but I thought this was a great send-off for him. We kill the grass demon, and then, his form, is fading away, and the shot of him with the hair, and then planting him. I thought that was all a really beautiful, conclusion to this character who, was really meant to comment on Finn psychologically, and that's, his primary role in this finale too, in this dream sequence. As mentioned, we have the evil doppelgangers, as the episode says, Finn and Fern, Bubblegum and Gumball, and then Jake makes Jermaine to be his evil doppelganger. I think, I've never been the biggest fan of the surrealist stuff in the show. It just doesn't connect with me personally as much, but I thought this was, really well done, a really well done, psychological insight into all of our main characters' minds and, representation of that here.
I guess that works because, at first watch, I was just annoyed with the Jake stuff. This is Jake's character, right? He just doesn't interfere at all with whatever stuff is going on. He's just kind of in his own little world. But I guess if you break it down like that, this is a look into, the minds of how they tick. I guess that's a way to interpret this. And Finn is also just totally dedicated to helping however he can. I especially liked the Gumball Bubblegum stuff, seeing
that stuff was good.
Yeah, because that was surreal, but at the same time you could understand the purpose of that sequence, which is for them to be in each other's shoes, see how each side interpreted the events of the past 1,000 years. It made sense while still being surreal. So I especially love that portion. Finn and Fern is fine because there's an action sequence, there's some symbolism stuff that does make sense. But Finn and Jake and Jermaine just being in a waiter sequence it's very Adventure Timey, but it's also a thing that's why? But I think overall the dream sequence is one of the better dream sequences in this show for all of the sequences that they've done like this.
Yeah, I think it's one of the more successful these psychological sequences, and I think that makes it excellent because a lot of them have been really well done before too. I definitely think it's supposed to be an insight into character. This is a character first moment in the show. Plot wise it's nonsensical obviously because it's all the subconscious theoretical. It's supposed to be an insight into all 4 of their 3 of their Fern, I guess, kind of into and how their mindset is and what the conflict with their characters ending the show. I don't know. I think it's ultimately great. We have Cosmic Owl in there too, by the way. He's the singing pot beast. I don't know.
Who knows?
Very trippy. The last thing I feel like I want to talk about is the great gum war in general. Ultimately, Lolly trips Gumball after Gumball was going to trick Bubblegum. That's the end of Gumball.
Gumball was terrible. I hate that guy.
Really, ultimately, this war thing is just one of those things where the war gets built up and then it never actually happens. Kind of a common pop culture trope, but I think this is the way to go because Adventure Time's never been a war show, so why would you have a war to end your show? I mean,
Adventure Time has never been a war show. Okay.
Hot take.
Well,
right?
and
That is
also,
a very hot take. Burning.
well, and somehow, like, Finn is so anti-war in the beginning of this episode, so like he succeeds. So even though he didn't actually contribute much to it.
Yeah. Do you think this is like? I feel like some people will be like, "Oh, the first half of this doesn't matter. It's all just like a red herring. What does any of the plot this season even matter?" Do you agree with that, Alex?
In a sense, I do, but at the same time, like, this is all going back to like adventure. This whole episode being like everything continues the same way it does. Like, stuff happens in the middle, but we all move on. So like, I think when you're juxtaposing it with something like that, like the plot not mattering, I guess maybe that's Adventure Time all along. Like, the plot is there, but it's primarily to let these characters grow on their own without really caring about whether there's actually a war or everything continues on as normal or people go back to being who they used to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Sam?
I guess. I don't know. I'm just kind of like... The inconsequentialness of Adventure Time is both its strength and its detriment. Because, we can have things like, life just continues kind of on a loop and like, not that the world never changes, but things just kind of tend to repeat themselves and life moves on, et cetera, et cetera. But then, I get frustrated because I kind of want plot. And I think that's been like my main gripe with the entire show. Like, it'll have plot. It'll have its plotty moments. But then it just kind of like bails out of them.
Yeah, and I think if you've made it to Adventure Time, like if you made it this far and you still enjoy the show a lot, then at this point, I don't think it matters that much to you. Like, the people who would be complaining about like this not having much of an instance, they probably, I'm just going by anecdotal example, but like my brother was into the show for a long time, but he dropped it by stakes because at that point it had hammered home like status quo is going to be how this show goes on. Well, fine, I'm not watching anymore. So like, I feel like if you've been bothered by that, you should have been bothered by that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So at this point, I think it's just something that you deal with as part of the Adventure Time aesthetic, and you enjoy the stuff that the lack of plot is driving, which is like seeing Finn throughout this story of like trying to enforce peace, to be a mediator between Bubblegum and Gumball. That's kind of been the main thing of this season. And we see the culmination here of like him eventually enacting peace, but although not really through his own workings. But like it's something that's at least been established throughout the season because of the existence of this plot.
Yeah. So initially I think that I was kind of annoyed by this aspect. Like, what does any of this even matter? We did the war buildup that doesn't happen thing. We did a Twilight book 4.
Twilight? Oh yeah, that totally is what they did, dude.
It's the same thing. Like, they build up, I think other things do this too, where you build up a giant battle that doesn't ever actually happen.
Yo.
I know, right? I actually I've thought about this though for a while, and I think I understand, like, and I have like a really good thematic justification. Because I think a lot of this finale is a mislead that the world of Ooo will end. A lot of the framing is set up in a way where the audience is going to think that this, BMO says like, it was the end. Oh, there was the end of I thought that was it was just the Great Gum War, the end of the gun. And BMO's like, oh, and then there was the end of everything. Like, BMO's kind of misleading you throughout it. I mean, the land of Ooo has always been it's been like the Earth on its last leg, humanity on its last leg, but also like it's this post-apocalyptic wasteland, and you could just see it going away. And the war is like, this is the battle to end all battles. It's going to destroy us all. And then we can get past that. Then we can get past the literal embodiment of chaos. We can even get past that with the best attributes of humanity represented with the song. And yes, life will go on ultimately because, no, we will not destroy ourselves. No, even chaos itself will not destroy us. It's just back to that life will go on theme. So I think that's the purpose. At least that's my like critical thematic reading of why we have this war and then subvert the war. And when I think about it like that, I really like it.
I believe that my heart will go on. It's basically what the song was about.
It's kind of funny when you think about it that in the end, the entire world is saved because of BMO, right? Because like everyone's helpless at the end. Jake is totally broken, and BMO just sings a song, and that happens to be what makes golf. They happen to notice that there's a weakness there, but it only happens because BMO is pure enough to like soothe Jake with a song.
Yeah,
he's surrounded by chaos. So,
BMO made the song for his son Jake. Yeah.
So BMO being a robot really represents the best of humanity.
Yes, BMO is the best of us all. Yeah, I agree.
He's a robot.
Best of humanity. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, that's my read. I'll see if other people agree with that. Where this is like, it's a purposeful mislead to make you think it's going to end, and then it enhances the life will go on theme. But yeah, I don't know. I like ultimately to me it just all comes together so well. And I feel like we've hit on everything major now. So we can, Maja, thoughts on Maja being there?
She dies.
She explodes
as a conduit for
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh yeah, the tandem war elephant was there.
I heard there was a war.
I loved that. Yeah.
We heard there was a war.
But
there wasn't.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's just all so successful thematically and just as an ending for the show in all the ways we've talked about. Sam, final things that you wanted to talk about or comments on the finale?
Oh, my heart is just like really sad. I don't know. It's like the Time Adventure song. I've just been like meditating on it, and I'm like, well, we will happen again and again, because you and I will always be back then. And it's like, wow, Rebecca Sugar, you're so deep. Anyway, yeah, it's a lot to digest. It's a lot to think about, and like, it kind of makes me think about, my own like humanity and like personhood, and like, what will happen when I die? Like, will there be somebody in the future who's just like me? Will they make the same mistakes, learn the same things, etc.? And like, I definitely give kudos to, the entire Adventure Time crew for really exploring those existential themes in the constraints of something that's quote unquote a kid's show. Like, that's Adventure Time was always seen as a show that's like, stoners watch it. It's like really surreal, blah blah blah. But they have like a lot of real stuff, that like presses on at least my mind a lot. And definitely kudos to the writers, animators, storyboard artists, etc. for like giving those slots a platform and like, kind of like a forum to talk about it. What will happen at quote unquote the end of the world. I don't know.
Yeah. I like that. Yes. Adventure Time deeper than the Stoner College Kid show everyone thought it was.
To be fair, the only people I knew who watched it when I first started watching it were Stoner College Kids.
That was a thing, yeah.
They were in love with Lemongrab. Like, they decorated their dorm room with Lemongrab.
Oh, my type of people. Okay. Yeah, Lemongrab will live on. That's the theme, right?
Yep.
That we're ending the show with LSP. Alex, final thoughts or anything else from the finale?
Yeah, this finale is very existential. It covers every part of Adventure Time that I like. Some parts of Adventure Time that maybe I didn't like, but that's like all part of the package, And yeah, I just feel bad that there's not any more Adventure Time to consume. Like, this is gonna be it.
We still have the comics, though. The comics are actually really good. I would definitely recommend them, especially if you're into Bubbling. They have a lot of stuff going on in there.
All right.
Parts of that. They're good. I recommend them. Anywho, keep going.
Well, speaking of Princess Bubblegum, also like in that final scene with Finn, where she has a really nice duster. I want that duster.
I know, that's like such a good jacket.
Yeah, it's a really nice jacket. Anyways, so she's cute. This entire finale is cute, really, and down to the end, like, it's just two characters out of nowhere that just feel like they can be their own adventurers. They can do their own thing, and that feels inspiring in a way that really all of us can have our own Adventure Time.
We can.
Okay, sure. Oh, I don't know. You just kind of pulled that out there.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel anymore. Like, it's over.
Get
over.
sappy with us.
Yeah, it's over, isn't it? Right. But yeah,
all right, Rebecca Sugar.
Yeah, part of the finale, so it counts. Okay. So wonderful. So let us know what you thought of Come Along With Me, this finale, in the comments on this article or on our YouTube at overlyanimated.com/YouTube. And, I don't know. Maybe we'll continue discussing Adventure Time, but you can always find all of our Adventure Time podcasts as well at overlyanimated.com. Also, we cover a bunch of other animated shows, including Steven Universe, which will be continuing, and at least for now, and other Cartoon Network shows and other shows in general. Find all that out at overlyanimated.com. Come talk about the finale with us on our Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord. And you can consider supporting us via Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patrons of the podcast, Phonician, AK Fusion, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John Ryan, Steve Alex, and Hugh. We'll be back to talk about more stuff, maybe
I'm
more
really
Adventure Time
sad.
at overlyanimated.com, but yep, that's it.
This is going to be the last time.
Come along with me.
Okay,
With
okay,
the
okay.
butterflies and bees.
I'm going to cry.
Okay. From
I
Alex's
don't know
singing?
the
No.
rest
No,
of the
just it's over,
lyrics.
dude.
Why didn't you know the lyrics? It happened in the finale.
I forgot them all and now they're
Okay. Thank you. Very sentimental ending here. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
I...